impression from God. And I took up my Bible very fast and the book Desire of Ages. And up to morning, I read the Desire of Ages, the last scenes of Christ on the cross, and the last scenes as also described in the Bible. And for the first time in many months of tribulation, I was convinced that God was with me in my trouble, that those verses came back to me at that point when I needed them. And I read through what Christ went through, and I realized Christ was actually not alone. God was present, even though it seemed as though the darkness had enveloped him. God, who pavilions himself in darkness, was with me in my tribulation. So like John in Patmos, I do think God does reveal himself in our times of tribulation. And it is actually when we are almost at the very end of the rope. We see that even with Daniel. When Daniel was extremely confused after months and years, actually years of praying, that's when Angel Gabriel comes. With John, it is at the very end of the rope after he's even been boiled and he's at the almost at the last end of his trouble, and he's now been left alone. That's when Christ reveals himself in a vision and comes to speak to him. I have experienced God in my own tribulation. And I do think he still does today, as he did with John in Patmos.
So like you've made it so clear that